Kathy in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. First, I just wanted to say that I totally agree with this doctor. I've never heard him before, ever. I have had some pretty scary medical situations in my own lifetime. I'm 42. One was getting my tubes tied after my third child. Okay. I've had no problems with pregnancies or delivery. And I woke up in the middle of surgery while listening to everybody in the operating room bad-talking some female that they all disliked. Oh. That was shocking to watch part of my, innards, you know what I mean?
Oh.
And they put me back to sleep because she nodded at the anesthesiologist, so he put the mask back over my face after realizing, ooh, she's awake.
She's awake. She can
I
hear
woke
us.
up after surgery, and I freaked. Not yelling or screaming, but I mean like just a panic. And not one nurse or anybody came to my side to ask me, what's wrong? Are you okay? After it was over. When I was not even 30 years old, because I have very painful menstrual cycles for the first 2 days, I get physically sick for the first 2 days, and after that it's just a normal menstrual cycle. I have had doctors try to get me to go under the knife before I was even 30 to have a hysterectomy. I don't believe the body should have things ripped out of it. You know what I mean? They've argued with me to get mammograms, and I'm like, no. I've just had one, a couple years ago. I don't need another one.
Do you try to go natural, Kathy?
I never have. I never really considered myself natural. I get this gut instinct when doctors here I can tell it's basically for the money. I mean, I'm not, a genius by any means. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. But you get that instinct in your gut, and you know what I mean? I don't need to go under the knife, sort of thing.
Well, that's probably a good way to think. Now, Dr. Leonard, surely there are great people in the medical profession out there, right?
Of course there are, because everybody that becomes a healer has the right intentions, and they just get disillusionized after the first 5 to 10 years when they understand they have not been taught or been able to cure or help anybody. You cannot expect, if you disrupt the natural cycle, that you create a positive result. Kathy, thank you so much for your call. Basically, the easiest way in 90% of the cases of my patients to get rid of these kind of menstrual cramps or problems is usually good calcium. I use personally coral calcium or Calmec from awesomesupplements.com, but it is, if you have a lot of calcium, magnesium, it needs to be always calcium with 50% magnesium and vitamin D3, otherwise the body cannot absorb it. And usually if you would be my patient, I would suggest you would start 4 days before the pain usually starts with 6 or 8 capsules of very good calcium with magnesium and vitamin D3. You drink at least a gallon of water a day with half a teaspoon of sea salt in it.
And by the way, you said a day. You don't have to drink it in one sitting. Right?
That would be a circus act. I mean, then you would be in the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah, that would be too much.
But drink it over the entire day, and it should really, really help you. On the other hand, it can also be related to stress. And, of course, I believe in my stress reduction CDs from instinct-based-medicine-store.com. And Kathy shows that she has the good instinct of listening to what she thinks and feels is right and what makes common sense. And I'm so horrified of hearing what Kathy had to go through, because that is regularly normal. The surgeons and the nurses in an emergency or surgery room usually do not care about the patient they deal with. That's why so often the false limbs get taken off, or people get surgery on something they don't even have.
Or they sew you up with the knife still in your stomach.
Absolutely. And this is what happens all the time. And when we hear from Kathy what horrible trauma she had to go through, the main thing is that there's a post-traumatic stress syndrome that will follow this kind of horrible experience. It gives the poor patient the feeling of being helpless, of being in their hands, of being mistreated, of being discarded, abused, and this can have a traumatic consequence for Kathy or any patient that has to go through similar horrifying experiences.
All right, let's go to Omaha, Nebraska now. Roger's there with us. Hey, Roger, go ahead.
Thank you, George, and Dr. Coldwell. I've heard some of your guests in the past, George, that have laid out some of the things that the doctor is talking about tonight, and I'm just stunned, and it's almost toxic to hear the doctor explain that all these things are available, and yet there's rules and regulations that keep doctors from getting people well, and it makes me ill.
Makes you sick just thinking about that, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And Dr. Coldwell, you mentioned earlier that you were a hated man, which makes me sick to hear how you lay it out. You couldn't lay it out any simpler than that, than what you're doing. And do you ever get threats from
Roger, I've been shot at. I have still the scars from the bullets in my body. My car has been bombed. My family was constantly threatened. I am constantly threatened. That's what I live with since the age of 16.
You won't stop, though, Leonard, will you?
I will not stop no matter what. As long as I breathe, I will help people with all I know and all I got. And there are 300 known natural cancer cures out there with no negative side effects that cure cancer, tumors, and cancer growth. 300 known natural cancer cures, and they do not allow us in America to tell people about it, even tell people about it. They don't even allow us to tell people about food-grade hydrogen peroxide or MMS or oleander soup or vitamin C injections that always intravenously, or aloe vera injections that cure cancer. They do not allow us to tell the person that for over 100 years, Asiac tea or Asiac capsules, I use them from awesomesupplements.com, are curing cancer tumors or getting rid of cancer tumors. If a company is producing any of these elements would say that, they would all go to jail. They close their company up. They come with guns.
Okay, very good. Next up, let's go to Cheryl in Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, Cheryl. Thanks for calling.
Thank you so much for giving us this information.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm very excited about what the doctor's telling everyone. My daughter was just 2.5, and she had really bad asthma, and they gave me this medicine. She's 40 now, but they gave her some medicine that made her just bounce off the walls, and I just stopped giving it to her, and the doctors kept saying she's going to die, and I said, no, she won't, and I went to a health food store and learned all I could, put her on a raw food diet, juices, and she got rid of it. So that was my first experience with health. And then at the age of 45, I found out I had a meningioma brain tumor the size of an orange in my head. And they couldn't believe I was functioning that way, but I'd been eating real healthy. So my head just expanded with it. And since then, the meningioma did come back because the cells were in the bone, but I have trouble sleeping. I have all my life, and so I ended up getting Hashimoto's disease, thyroid disease, thyroiditis. So I'm just wondering, I'd love to get rid of the meningioma and the thyroiditis, Hashimoto's disease, if I could, if there's a way to do that in the insomnia as well.
There's always a way. First of all,
I believe that. I truly believe that.
You have shown already in the past how strong you are and that you are able to overcome problems even with your daughter. By the way, asthma, usually if you just put a pinch of sea salt on your tongue and drink a big glass of water, every asthma attack usually goes away instantly. It's usually just dehydration and stress. But if you, we cannot do this over the air, but if you send me an email to instinctbasedmedicine@gmail.com, I'm going to send you for free every information and what you need, and also you will get my CD set, the stress reduction, the most sold stress reduction set of all times, over 3 million systems sold. You will get it for free. There's just something that I legally cannot tell you on the phone right now, but everything is curable. You are a very strong person. Your energy level is really great coming over here, even with all the problems you have. The brain, I would just also do the heavy metal toxification, because every brain tumors and every brain accumulations of toxins or problems is usually based on heavy metal toxicity. And I would do the heavy metal test and the heavy metal cleanse from helpingamericanow.com. And also for these kind of challenges, it is also very important to protect yourself from electromagnetic frequencies. And if you go to stresspendantdeal.com, stresspendantdeal.com, you get, as a listener of George's show, a huge deal there for the protection of electromagnetic chaos and electromagnetic frequencies. But if you write me to instinctbasedmedicine@gmail.com, I'm going to send you for free my CD set. It's a value of $99 and the information you need to fight all these challenges you have.
Perfect. Let's go to Wyckoff, New Jersey. Edward, you're with us. Hey, Edward, go ahead.
This doctor is a dynamo. I never heard any medical person like this in my life. I wish I could bring you home. I have so much to ask you. I'm thinking here, trying to get it together in as short a time as I can. Perhaps you might mention some of those online online sites that you mentioned at the previous hour in relation with some of those tests.
Sure.
I don't remember what they were.
Okay.
Also, can you relate anything that you work have done with prevention and therapy for stroke? My mother had a stroke at 85. She completely paralyzed on her right side, could not speak, walk, move her right side at all. She went on that way for 15 months in a nursing home. She had pneumonia for 9 days. The hospital filled her up with morphine, and she died. I'd be grateful to know what you would have done in this instance. I did have her given vitamins, but they weren't enough. I later learned about hyperbaric oxygen and vitamin C for the pneumonia. But can you relate your work with the pathology of stroke and pneumonia?
Okay.
Of course, Edward. First of all, thank you so much for your call, and I'm sorry to hear this about your mom. But what I would have done if your mom would have been my patient, I would immediately have her put on hydrogen peroxide, 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide, to get the oxygen flowing again. And I would also have put her on my system or my CDs, stress reduction self-healing CDs, to get the neurology working again, because my system has even gotten people out of wheelchairs again and completely fully functioning again. But you need to really stimulate the brain. You need to stimulate the neurology, and I developed this CD system for that. But that you get at Instinct-Based Medicine store, and if you put in cancer-free, you get 25% off as George's listener. But what I also would have done, I would have given your mom vitamin E, D, D3, and a lot of C, of course, but also silver. Hydrosol silver, I use it from helpingamericanow.com, nearly gets rid of every kind of infection. It even helps with AIDS. It even helps. It's like food-grade hydrogen peroxide also cures AIDS. So there's a lot of cures for AIDS out there. What do people think how Magic Johnson got cured, and then all these famous people who have the money? And but the main element would have been food-grade hydrogen peroxide. I mean, we cannot turn the time back and we cannot go back, but there would have been a lot of natural tools I would have used